Was going through looking at some security items and came across this post and thought we could walk through the first one together. This is kind of interesting to see considering we've been talking about security this week. So what this is the OWASP top 10 for developers to kind of identify areas in your application where you may not have considered all the security ramifications of your development. And I thought tonight we could go through the broken access control. So we're going to go to the next unit. I already went through and answered all the questions, but we'll go through the next one. So broken access control is essentially allowing user access to, actually, let's see. Recall that you've joined a team at an IT software company that tasked you with conducting design and code review of the team-owned code bases. As an onboard your new team and to explore the code base, you discover a web project, an ASP.NET Blazor application, and with OWASP Top 10 in mind, you set off on a deep dive into the code with your security lenses on. You start at the top of the OWASP Top 10 list with number 1, which is broken access control. This category refers to incidents users who shouldn't have permission to access data. Shouldn't have permission to access that data viewed confidential information. So inside of ASP.NET, we have the concept of the authorized attribute, which is an attribute that you can use to decorate your controllers, which require authentication. Remember, authentication is who are you? And then after authentication, we also have authorization, which is what you can do. So by decorating your classes or your controllers with the authorized attribute, you can require that a user must be authenticated to hit those endpoints. So you can see down here in the code that we have basically an account controller with login, log out, and get citizen tax ID. And none of these have any attribute decorations on them. So they're basically allow anonymous. So anyone's going to be able to hit these endpoints. So what they've done here is they've added the authorized attribute with no policy and no roles to the account controller. You can log in anonymously, but you have to be authorized to log out, and you have to be authorized to call the get citizen tax ID method. So the next batch of code is showing that same thing using the minimal API. I like this API, these API methods here better. Or sorry, not better. They're not better. I like doing. I've been using these a lot instead of doing the controllers. I kind of like this pattern a little bit better. All your endpoints are kind of in the program.cs file. They don't have to be, but they are. And then you get to map them. And then what I'll do is I'll map my endpoints like this line right here, and then passing in here, you can do dependency injection, get all your services, and then I'll just start calling into my service methods as quickly as possible. Obviously, I'll do whatever work I need to do in here, and then go ahead and call out to my service layer. Then it goes on to show that that the user interface should also take authorization or authentication into consideration. And in Blazor, we have an authorized view, where we can say that if someone navigates to this route and we're displaying the page, that if you are if you're authorized, you see this text. If you're not authenticated, you're asked to basically log in. The other interesting thing here that I was unaware of is the secure method is only accessible if the user is authorized. So that's kind of interesting. So it says here the secure method is accessible once the user is authorized. Since authorized view component can validate against roles or policies, only role claims for either the admin or super user roles would show the button. And that's actually because it's up here. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure if you called the method down here, probably would still let you go. But this secure method, the button's only going to appear if the user is authorized. So then we have a couple of questions. The goal of Open Web Application Security Project Top 10 report put together by security expert is to create a standard for security benchmark of web applications. That's not what we're doing. Improve awareness and promote recommended mitigation techniques to most critical security concerns for web app security. be the only go-to report your organization would need to stay secure. And pick the middle option. And what is broken access control? A vulnerability that allows an attacker to access restricted information, a vulnerability that allows an attacker to modify or delete restricted information, a vulnerability that allows an attacker to bypass access controls. All answers are correct. I think this is the bottom option, and we'll click check your answers. And we passed. So we get points. I like the Microsoft training. I like, kind of how they break it out and stuff like that. Tomorrow we'll go ahead and do the next one if anyone's interested in attending. I hope everyone has a great evening, and I will see you tomorrow.